People often think that being a leader means being the loudest and the most confident in the room, which is a little bit unfortunate for me because I am a lifelong introvert and I'm extremely shy. Now that might surprise you as I'm stood in front of 100 of you today with the spotlight on me, but it's true. I've often felt like I've been on the outsides of the room. I'm looking in, where all the conversation takes place, not quite finding my way. I often think, when is it my turn to talk? Have I spoken enough? I'm the type of person that goes home after having a conversation and replays it over and over again. Was that the right thing to say? I remember being at school, and I can still feel that heart palpitation now as I'm stood here. The teachers would ask questions, and I would think, please don't pick me. I would avoid eye contact. I could feel my palms sweating. My heart would race, and she'd go around, and I'd think, please, please, not me today. Parents' evening always seemed to go the same way. It was never about my ability, never about the grades that I was getting. It was always one thing: Cherish is shy. And I remember once a particular teacher, I answered a question, which was a big thing for me, but I answered a question one day. And she said to me, Cherish, speak up. We can't hear you. And that instilled something in me. Being quiet was a problem. And those sorts of thoughts don't just stay with you in the classroom. They follow you through into adulthood. They follow you into your friendships. They follow you into your career. Every room that you go into, you suddenly start to think, I am too quiet. My personality is a problem. I went to university for 4 years. I did a business degree, and I absolutely loved it. I was like a sponge in those lectures. I would take everything in. Everything that those lecturers were telling me, I would take in. But for 4 years, every single lecture I sat in, I thought, I'm not going to be able to put into practice what I'm learning because I don't have the personality to be a leader. 9 years ago, though, that all changed. 9 years ago, I was a stay-at-home mum to 2 beautiful little girls. And it's crazy because I remember watching them being so small and worrying, thinking, what if when they grow up, they're quiet? I remember wishing, when they're older, I hope that they're not quiet. And what I will say is be very careful what you wish for, because my children are definitely not quiet. I remember being at a ballpark and I'd sit and watch the girls. They'd be so confident. They'd go up to different children and they'd be playing, they'd be interacting. They wasn't afraid to make noise. And I was sat there with my cup of tea, playing questions in my mind. What if one of the mums talked to me? I need to have a question ready so there's not an awkward silence. And I was worried that that was going to rub off onto the girls. We needed something where we could earn a little bit of extra money. So we had a brainwave where we were like, I could stay at home. Maybe I could sell some dresses. We can put them on the internet. I can do it from a lounge. And the best bit is, I don't even need to go for a job interview. I've got the job already. Perfect. So I started posting online, started to post dresses. And for months, I had one person comment and one person like. And that was my mum. But I kept on going. I kept on posting. And I started to share a little bit about myself. I started to share that I'm quiet. I'm an introvert. I also have insecurities. And something really incredible happened. I started to attract these women that all felt the same way that I did. Some of them were quiet. Some of them lacked confidence. Some of them didn't believe in themselves. But being together, these women started posting pictures of themselves. They started sharing things like, I've never done this before, but. Started saying things like, I haven't worn a dress in years, but today I am. And watching that changed me. I realised that being a leader, it's not about being heard first. Being a leader is making sure that everybody has been heard in the room. And quiet people, we are great leaders. We listen. We notice. That little shift in the atmosphere in a meeting, we're going to pick up on that. When I was younger, I had a vision of what a leader was meant to look like. I was thinking big, powerful suits. I was picturing marble floors, floor-to-ceiling glass windows, and fresh fruit bowls. Now, my reality, I'm often sat in the car outside the school with my laptop. I've probably got the girls' dance kit in the back to keep me company and maybe surrounded by the odd crisp wrapper. But I'm still a leader. What if our visions that we're putting out, who we think we're meant to be, what if that is what's holding us back? My nan used to say something growing up to me. She used to say it all the time. She used to say, take me as I am. And I didn't realise at the time how powerful that phrase was. Because what my nan was saying was, I'm not changing. I'm not changing for anybody. What if the real strength is to embrace who we are? Shy, loud, tall, short. What if the real power is standing exactly where we are and saying, take me as I am? So if any of you in the room have ever felt like your personality wasn't enough, if you didn't feel like that you belonged in a room, if you didn't feel like you was meant to be a leader, I want you to hear this. Being quiet is not something that you have to fix. Too quiet to lead? No. Quietness is my strength. I have quietly built a community of over 250,000 women. I've quietly created a space where women can be themselves. I want you to picture this. All 250,000 women from my community, all in this room with us today. It's going to be tight. There's not going to be much room. But just picture it. There's going to be women at the front. There's going to be women right at the back. There's going to be women in all four corners. And there's definitely going to be women all on the outside of the room. And actually, that's okay. There has to be people on the outside. As I'm stood here on stage today, there's a little girl in a classroom. She's not putting her hand up. She's being told to speak up. She's worrying that she's not enough. And what if she doesn't need to speak up at all? What if she doesn't need to find her place in the room? What if she's going to be the one to create the space? So as you leave today, I want you to remember this. If you've ever thought that you're too quiet, too shy, you don't belong in a room, just remember what I say. You don't have to turn up the volume. You just have to turn up as yourself. Thank you.